some people way on that, so you're gonna want to listen to a second. You might say like turning down the audio so you know when it comes through.
Okay, I'm turning down the audio now, so everybody's audio should go down a little bit. I think this sounds pretty good. What do you think, Mackenzie? Sounds good. Too high. Maybe down a little. That's better. Okay.
I think we're
All
good.
day we face the barren waste without a taste of water. Cool water. All right, now what did I sing? Whenever I see Celia on, I think of that song because I know she likes it. Is this about right, everyone?
It sounded really good to me.
Did it?
Yeah.
All right, so am I free to go then and get my lovely Lady Lonza since it's 4 o'clock?
Yeah, just
right at the right time, and you're going to do some cam operating for me?
Yes,
All right.
Watch that cord.
Yeah, I'm watching it. All right. So I got more junk on me now than I know what to do with. I'm really feeling high tech, way too high tech. All right. All right, so you put the camera on. I'm going to go and get my lovely Lady Lonza. I have my pocket full of carrots, and I'm going to go get a brush and get my horse and say happy birthday to her, because she is one heck of a horse that was born today. Oh my goodness, I don't know how old she is. Let's look it up on the web. Do we know how old she is? She must be around 14, hey? I think it was like 2001. It could be 2002. 2002. All right, so that makes her 13. 13. Sweet 13. All right. All right, I'm going to go get her, and you're going to follow along, right? Thanks a lot. But this is a little strange, me having this microphone on, and you guys hearing virtually everything I say, and probably my walking as well. But we have kids camp today. It's going very well. Lots of kids running around. One of our favorite times of year. It's just so much fun to see the kids smiling, see the kids happy. In fact, when I came out here earlier, I had a little girl come up to me and ask about Cola and Jewel, and she said to me, "Where do you live?" And I said, "I live here." She said, "Oh, that would be a dream come true. I want to live here because I like Lewis and Clark." And so I thought that was a pretty cool thing to say. Hi, Nevaeh. How are you? Are you enjoying camp? Okay, good. It's Lady Lonza's birthday today, so I'm going to go and say happy birthday. And if you get done, you come and say happy birthday too, all right? All right, I'm in the tack room now getting Lonza's halter. She and Chinook have special leather halters that were given to me, and so I hide them away from all the other halters so that people don't use them. They're my own. They're for my special horses. And all right. We put Lonza in her own special spot for a couple of reasons. She's not very friendly with the geldings, so we don't use her as a guide horse very often. And if she is used, she comes at the rear end, at the tail end. And I only let people who know how to ride her. Same thing with Chinook, really. But Lonza is sort of a special case in that, you know, she's a mare, and mares are a little bit more finicky about life than geldings are. So she'll take exception to having another horse near her, and she has on occasion kicked them. So she's not used with clients except when we have a very large group and we have two wranglers, one in the front and one in the back, and then the one in the back always rides the lovely Lady Lonza. But let me get her out. And I think everybody knows that Annie is Lady Lonza's mother. Annie was my first Tennessee walking horse. I bought her not long after I moved to Montana. I wanted to do endurance riding, and I wasn't sure whether I wanted a walker or an Arabian. So I leased two horses. One was an Arabian, and the other one was Annie. And I stuck with Annie. Annie would have been just an incredible endurance horse because she has such get up and go and determination. Nothing stops Annie when she gets her mind onto something. But unfortunately, Annie was hurt in a hailstorm. Her knee was hurt. And even though I had it operated on twice, very expensive operations, by the way, she had what was called a compression break, and little bits of her bone kept sloughing off. And so she hasn't been ridden in a very, very long time, something like 18 years. Come on, Lonza, let's go. Let's go. All right. All right, girl, come on. But when I bought Annie, she had just had this really beautiful foal. And he was the same color as Lonza, which is called champagne. And you'll see that here in a minute as I get over. Come on, Lonza. Come on. I was quite smitten with this foal that Annie had. So when she became lame, I decided I would breed her. And so people who had that lovely colt and asked them about the colt, and the horse, he had good manners and he had a good gait and very athletic, and so I decided based on that I would breed Annie to the same stud. Well, that stud was named Arian's Golden Stallion or something like that, and he was from California. So I ended up having to do artificial insemination, which ended up being very expensive and quite the routine. I would have to take Annie to the vet, have her checked to see if she was ovulating, call the studs owners, have them collect semen, put it in a vial, send the vial on the airplane, rush out to the airplane, take it to the vet, take the mare to the vet, have her inseminated, turn around and do the whole process again within 24 hours, and then wait a couple days to see if she took. Well, of course, Annie didn't take right away. Yes. Yeah, this is lovely Lady Lonza, huh? Yeah. Okay. Come on, let's go. We're going to go over here. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Step. Come on. Sure. Sure you can. She's a big girl, isn't she? Today's her birthday. She's 14. How old are you? Almost 9. June 29th. You and Whiskey. Do you ride Whiskey?
Yeah.
Well, wow. That's great. Come on, Lonza. Stick with me. Come on. Let's go. Anyway, it took me 3 times having to order semen 3 different times before Annie took. And let's see if we can beat the sprinkler. You're going to get sprinkled on here. I think we're both going to get sprinkled on here in a second. She doesn't care as long as it's got grass. Come on, girl. Wet grass. You got wet grass. So let's go over here where we can be by ourselves. Come on, pick your foot up here, dear. All right. Come on. So Annie got pregnant, and I was extremely excited. I had never raised a horse before, and I'd never had a pregnant mare before, and it was just totally exciting. I have a very good vet who worked with me. It takes 11 months gestation, and so this was in 2001, and that was the year that my dad died. My dad's name was William Lonzo Goodman, and my dad was really the one who taught me to love animals. He loved animals himself. We always had dogs. He rode a horse to school as a child in near Belt, Montana, which is where the original Dunrobin was. And he was such a softie. He took me hunting one time, and he ended up not wanting to shoot the animal. So we just watched the animal, and he came home empty-handed. But I had such a wonderful time with him, just going out in the forest and tracking the animals and being with him. And I think in those regards I'm very much my father's daughter. So the year that he died, it was really upsetting to me, and very upsetting to my mother, of course, as well. And you know, as his birthday approached, we were really sad. But it was also the approaching time for Annie to give birth. And we certainly didn't mean to time it right on his birthday that year, but that's what happened. Is she was born at about 5 o'clock in the morning on my dad's birthday, the year after he had died. And I so remember that morning. My husband and my sons were gone, and I stayed home to do foal watch. And I had set up a bed in the barn in the hopes of being there when the foal was born. And at around 5 o'clock in the morning, when the sun was coming up, I thought, well, I better go in and at least get a nap, because I had been up and down kind of waiting for things to happen. And as they say in the horse world, mares like to do it by themselves, and I'm sure that the minute I was gone, that's when Annie decided things were just right and she would have her foal. So by the time I came out, which was only about an hour and a half later, I knew for sure that it had happened. My geldings, Power and Denali, were just running around, all excited, looking towards Annie's pen, just all excited. It was just clear as a bell to me that the foal had been born. So I rushed out to see, and indeed, here was Lonza, yet unnamed, and beautiful, beautiful. She had not yet stood. She was, you know, basically directly out of the birth canal, and so I helped pick up the placenta, and I helped make sure that everything was intact, and I called my vet to make sure that everything had gone correctly, and he had told me to save the placenta in a bucket so that he could examine it. It tells a great deal about the health of the foal. And he came within a couple of hours, and by then Lonza had stood and was nursing. And it was just so exciting. It was just like a dream come true to have this beautiful foal in my barn. It was just, I can't tell you how wonderful it was. And the second person I called was my mother, who was grieving my father's death. And so I hurriedly imprinted the foal, which consisted of me going around and putting my hands in every one of her orifices. And by that I mean her mouth, her ears, everywhere that a vet might sometime have to put his hand. I wanted her to be comfortable with that. And then I also, imprinting means that you teach them to give to pressure. So I held each one of her legs, and she would struggle, and as soon as she would stop struggling, I would let it go. And I did this about 3 times, and on the 4th time, she immediately stopped struggling, and I let it go. And from then on, for about 5 days, I did that every day. I'd come out and hold each leg, and she got it right away. She let go. She would never struggle with me. She would just peacefully let me hold her leg, knowing that I was going to let go. And that's a really important lesson for a foal to learn. It means don't struggle, but give in to the pressure and the release will come. That's the basic language of horses. You apply pressure and then you give them release, which tells them that they've done the correct thing. So my mother came that morning, and I set a chair up to watch this foal, and it was just really an emotional time. My mother had been so lost in her own grief that day. She woke up crying, thinking of her husband. And then I called and I said, "Oh, Mom, I have a new foal. You have to come and see." And so we spent the rest of the day together, my mother and I, watching this beautiful foal. And I asked about a name. I said, "It just seems like the right thing to name her after my dad, since she was born on his birthday." My dad's name was William Lonzo Goodman. And, I thought, well, Wilhelmina, I suppose you could call her Wilhelmina. That's sort of a feminized version of William. But the truth is I didn't really like that. And some girls are called Billy, so I could have probably called her Billy. But then the middle name really struck me. And I really latched onto it as feminizing my father's middle name, Lonzo, into Lonza, and then of course I had to add the lady part. And what was really interesting about this, and really it sort of really does send chills up my spine when I think about it. Come on, get back. Within, 3 or 4 months of having Lady Lonza and having moved to Dunroven and everything, I get in the mail a little book, and the book is ostensibly about this mansion on the shores of the Mississippi River where my great-grandmother had lived. My great-grandmother's name was Clara. This is my father's grandmother. And she had, for a period of her life, been quite wealthy before she was deserted by my great-grandfather. Anyway, she turned this mansion into a boarding house, and this book was about the boarding house and really about my great-grandmother. And in there was you're going to do that right on the picnic bench. You can't do that on the picnic bench, honey. She almost wanted to pee on the picnic bench. Well, she started looking that, like she was going to do that. Yeah, Lonza. Yeah. Be a little ladylike, okay? At any rate, in this little book was a photo of my great-grandmother, my grandmother Claire, whom I never met. And she was standing next to a horse, and she had a dog beside her. And she really wants to take a pee here. I should take her over to the gravel. And they said that the horse's name was Lady. And I thought that was just incredible that all these years later, here I was, the daughter of her grandson. And they said that the horse was a fancy gaited horse named Lady. And here I was with my fancy gaited horse named Lady Lonza. It just seemed like there was a direct connection to my ancestors. And I just love this connection. I love the connection with my dad. I love the name, and I certainly love the horse. She's a real beauty. She's a good horse in the mountains. She's got a huge stride. She's wonderful to walk downhill with. Boy, no horse can keep up with her. She's big, as you can see. She doesn't really look like a classic Tennessee walker because she has these enormous hips. She's just a big girl. And she herself has had 2 foals. The first foal was born on tax day, and a friend of mine adopted her, got her, and within several months of that, the horse was killed in a hunting accident here on the ranch. It was just really a horrifying morning when that happened. And then some years later, she had another foal, and I gave that foal to the former ranch manager who was from Romania. His name was Daniel. And I just was Facebooked this last spring. That horse's name is Serena, which means calm and peaceful in the Romanian language. And Serena had a foal of her own. So now Annie is a grandmother, great-grandmother, and Lonza is a grandmother herself. So the lineage goes on. I would like to have one more foal from Lonza. She's young enough, and she's strong enough, and she's in very good shape. So this is something that we may do this year. I'm not sure or not, maybe next year. But one of the other plans I have for this year is, I know many of you have been following the story of Nevaeh and trying to get a horse for Nevaeh. And what I've asked Nevaeh to do is to work with Lonza. Khan, many of you remember Khan. He came last year and most years previously to give lessons, and he always rode Lonza because he's a good rider, and I don't want anybody besides good riders riding them, or her, or somebody who's taking a lesson would be fine. Anyway, he used to ride her a lot. He really liked her and loved riding her. But he's not coming back. He's been ill. He's better. He's just recently gotten out of the hospital. I think he's recovering, which is very good news. So I've asked Nevaeh to partner with Lonza this year because I'm not riding as much as I used to, and she needs to have a good partner who will treat her well and who will learn to ride and learn to be gentle with her and partner up with her. And I think this would be a wonderful thing for Nevaeh. So this is our plan, and I better take her off of this grass pretty soon. She's going to get fat, and I did bring some treats, some birthday treats. I don't normally allow people to hand treat the horses, and the reason is we have a lot of people interacting with our horses, but only a few people interact with Lonza, so I'm going to allow her to eat from my hand some carrots. And horses can get pretty pushy if they have treats, often have treats. They start looking for it and they start getting mouthy. We don't want that, do we, Lonza? Come on, get back, 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 back. Yeah. All right. I'll give it to you. Yeah, happy birthday, Lonza. Sweet 13th. See, I bought you 13 carrots. Well, that's a lie. I've just bought you a handful, and I'm hoping there's about 13, because I didn't know whether you were 14 or 13 or 12. I have to be true. I have to be honest. There you go. On the grass, right there, Lonza. Come on. Right here, on the ground. Right there. Right there, on the ground. You see him right there? There you go. So, I hope you'll all join with me in wishing this wonderful mare a happy birthday. She's been a gift for me, a gift from my dad, and I think of him always when I'm with her. I used to ride her quite a bit alone. In fact, when she was a yearling, I would take her and pony her off of my other geldings, particularly a big gelding named Denali. Denali didn't like to have horses on his rear end, and so I thought this would be a good thing for him to learn to, sometimes when a horse doesn't like something, that's exactly what I do, so they learn to like it. Anyway, I went on many a ride on Denali, ponying Lady Lonza across the river and up into the mountains, and it's a really good way for a yearling to learn, because they learn without being ridden, and they learn how to negotiate difficult terrain and to step over obstacles and do all kinds of things. And it just seems natural after a while for a person to be above you because they've been ponied so much. It's a kind of a passive way of training. We did other passive ways of training her. For example, we had a little bridge that she had to go over to get into her stall with Annie, so she got used to wooden bridges. And then I put a tarp door that she had to go by, so she was used to tarps. It was, you know, again, passive training, just training herself that these things are not scary things. Well, that's it for today, everyone. I appreciate you sharing this with me. And with that, I'll take her back. Thank you very much, Mackenzie, for offering the camera and for getting me going on the equipment. I hope that the audio was good. And if it was, let us know. We're trying to perfect this. We'd like to get some more programs started. We have a horse trainer who's going to come and work with Nevaeh on Lady Lonza, and you will be able to watch all of that, and we'll have them mic'd up so you know what's happening. All right, Lonza. Goodbye. Thank you. Let's go, Lonza. Come on, let's miss the water this time, okay? Come on. Come on, let's miss the water. Come on.
Everybody enjoyed it, Suzanne. Thank you.
Oh.
Sounded good.
Thank you. I enjoyed it myself. And she got some carrots too. Yeah. You can do that, but you can. You know, I don't let people treat except in the buckets, with the exception of Lonza and Chinook, because I know them and they're not available to other people really. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to do well with her, Nevaeh. Yeah. Apricot champagne, and the apricot comes from the kind of reddish in her mane. Okay. Come on. Get back. Back. Get back. Back.
Are you the one who lives here?
I do. Yeah. And you are?
Kara.
Kara. Well, welcome, Kara. Is this your first time, or you've been here before?
I've been here
3 times. Yeah.
and
So you like it here? Which horse do you ride?
I like Smokey.
Smokey. He's a big guy. He's a gentle guy, and he has the most beautiful eyes in the world, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He sure does. Yeah. All right, why don't you take her back? All right. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Nevaeh. Yeah, she's pushy. You have to learn to be assertive with her. She's a little pushy broad. Did everybody have a good time? Yep. Oh, that's great.